Hello friends, this is Karnveer Singh here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to implement double tap and pinch to zoom on image in SwiftUI. This is the third time I'm trying to make this video today because this MacBook is facing thermal throttling issues and the simulators aren't working. So I'll be really sorry if I try to fasten the things up, but I will, believe me, I will explain everything. So I have this project where I have added this image. It's a pizza delivery image. I have made it resizable and I have made it scale to fit. So first of all, let's implement pinch to zoom gesture in on this image. So that gesture is called magnification gesture in SwiftUI. So let's implement that first. To do that, we will need to call the dot gesture method, and in here we need magnification gesture, and we don't need the scale delta. Sorry. Okay, and we do need the on changed and on ended method, and on change will give us a scale which we will need. Okay, and on ended out method will also give us a scale. Let's call this one scale final. Naming doesn't matter, but we do need to use these values. So let's create a state variable called scale. Let's set its initial value to 1.0, and we will change that value here. Self.scale is equal to scale. Similarly here, self.scale is equal to scale. Final dot magnitude. Yes, just call this one too. And of course we will also need to use the scale method, scale property somewhere, and to do that we will need to use a method called scale effect, and it takes a scale, it takes a value, and that value will be self.scale. So initially the value will be 1, so it won't zoom, but after that the value will be changing as we will be magnifying the image, so that effect will be applied on the image. Let's see that. Okay, so on simulator you need to press the option key, and then you can drag, and it is, as you can see, it is working. Okay, but if I want to drag here and I want to see, it isn't working properly. So it's a simulator, that's why, and there are some issues here. But uh, main thing that we need here is are two things. First, a double tap to zoom, plus I should be able to drag this image, and I should be able to see the sides that I have zoomed in or magnified in this case. Okay, so let's add another gesture called tap gesture dot gesture. Should be tap gesture, and it takes a count which basically has a minimum number of taps that we want. It should be 2 in this case. Double tap to zoom. So now on change, sorry, on end method, it doesn't have on change method, of course. Why would it have on change method? And in here we basically need nothing. It provides us nothing, but we do need the on end method. And other than that, it also has another property called dot simultaneously. So because we also need the drag gesture, we need to drag the image to see the other sides of that image, so we will need that here. So let's add drag gesture, and it has minimum distance property. We can set that to 0. I will tell you why I did that. And coordinate space, let's go with global, and again it has on change method, and it takes a value, and again it has on ended method. and again it gives us a value. So why do we need these? Why the minimum distance is 0? Well, it's actually a workaround to get the coordinates of the touch. Okay, where we will tap, we will be implementing our tap gesture. Okay, we'll be tapping on the phone, and we need to get the coordinates of those uh, of that point. We'll we will touch our fingers. So this is a workaround to there is another method to do that, that involves implementing UI kit and UI view representation, and using UI kit you can use the touches begin method, the kind of stuff we used to do in UI kit. But I try to avoid that as much as I can, so I just want the Swift UI code, so that's why I'm implementing it this way. So with minimum distance 0, I'm saying that as soon as I touch the finger, as soon as I touch on the phone, it will give me the this value, on chain value, and from this value I can get the start location, I can get the current location of my finger. So let's see how is this useful. First of all, in tap gesture on ended method, we will need to uh, tell the code that now the tap gesture has finished. Okay, so there's scale effect can be applied in multiple ways. One that we have already seen, and there's another way to do it. Let's see that dot scale effect, and that takes again some scale and a unit point. What this unit point does, I will show you in a while. But let's say we want to zoom this image to twice its size, so I have given this value 2, and this anchor point takes unit point. Okay, and what this does is that we can create a unit point with x and y value. Okay, let's see 0 and 0. Just to show you what it does, I'm doing this. And I also want to check whether the double tap was done or not. To do that, I will be needing another variable called is tapped. Okay, I need this to be a bool. Initially it will be false. Okay, so when it has ended, I can change the value of is tapped to whatever its initial value was. It will keep on changing, and in here I can check if is tapped is true or not. Okay, so if it is true, then value should be 2, and if it is not, then the value should be 1, of course. And again, okay, fine, and let's just print some values here. I just want to show the tab gesture right now. Print value dot start location and print. I just want to run this app. Just ignore these values for a while. Okay, okay, so as you can see, I'm getting these values here, value dot location, value dot start location, because I'm just tapping on here, so I'm getting the tapped coordinate here. So if I double tap, as you can see, it scales the image, but from where? From this point. This is 0 0, and so this should be 1 comma 0, and this should be 1 comma 1, and this should be 0 comma 1. But we need what this point would be in terms of unit point, so this value should be between 0 and 1, but the values that we are getting are 272.5 and 433.0. so what we need to do here is we will need to get the width of the phone, and we can divide that value and we will get the value between 0 and 1. Let's see how to do that. First of all, let's embed this image inside a geometry reader, and this reader can give us the width and okay, fine, and this reader can give us the width and the height of this image. So how to use that is basically you must have done this in maths in small classes maybe, because if like if 10 oranges cost you $10, then that means one orange cost you $1, so two oranges will cost you $2. That's exactly what we are trying to do here. So if this is 200, let's just imagine this is 200, so but this is also 1, so 1 stands for 200, and this point somewhere will be 1 by 200 into this point, which could be anything 50 or 60. Let's see why. Okay, so first of all, let's get that value, that tap point. Initially the point should be, let's make this 0. Okay, so here we will need to set that point tap is equal to value dot start location. Fine. Now we will need to use that in here, so it should be self dot point tapped dot x, of course, divided by reader dot frame, sorry, reader dot okay, it's frame, right? Okay guys, so sometimes the SwiftUI does not auto complete the code, so it would be reader dot frame in, let's give the coordinate space of global. This will work. Oh, okay, so what we need here is dot max x. Again, it's not auto completing the code, I have no idea why. So same thing we will need here in the y portion, so we will need max y, and also you can see that I've also added this animation default, so it will give this nice this project some nice animation. Okay, let's just hope that this works. Okay, this runs. Oh sorry, I needed to do this. Yes, so it now zooms at the point where we have tapped, so this works fine. But one more thing that we need to do here is when I drag it drags, but maybe this is the default behavior of drag gesture, but this is not the right implementation for dragging. So we will need to get the right width and height, the translated width and height when we are dragging the image. Let me show you what I mean by that. First of all, we will need two state variables more. Dragged width, which should be of the type CG size. Initial value should be CG size dot 0, and the another one should be previous dragged. What really is happening here is that we will when we will drag, we will be keeping a record of the drag width of image. And in this previous dragged value, we will be storing the last dragged value, the last dragged width. So we will need to use them in here. We will need the self dot dragged width should be equal to cg size, and the width should be equal to value dot translation dot width plus the previously dragged width. Similarly, we will need this inside the height, and instead of width we will need the height. Okay, there is another way to do it, and that is using value dot start location plus value dot location, which would be the current location, but we will be using this way right now. So it will give us the dragged width of the image, and when this will end, we will need self dot dragged width. Again, the same thing here. We don't really need this line, but for just the sake of security, we will be doing this, and the previous dragged should be equal to self dot dragged width. Now where do we use this? Well, there is a method called dot offset. Either you can use the offset cg size, or you can use the x and y. We will be using the x and y, but let me show you why. In the x, we can just use the self dot previous self dot dragged width dot width, and in y we can use the self dot dragged width dot, I know I named this dragged width, or I should be naming the dragged size. Okay, let's just rename it. We need to have good looking code here. Dragged size, let's just copy it, paste here. Where else? Need here. Yes, okay, let's run the app. Let's just hope the simulator works. Well, I've been trying to make this video all day long, and I'm really struggling. This has been really frustrating. Sometimes simulator doesn't work, sometimes the code doesn't autocomplete. So let's just hope that simulator works. Okay, so I always forget I need to double tap to zoom. Okay, so double tap, zoom, and well, as you can see, I can smoothly drag the image, but there's the issue with this. One is that I can drag up and down too, which doesn't look nice, and I can drag in such a way too that this white space appears. So it's your choice whether you want to do the next part or not, but I really suggest you do this white space, and this kind of behavior doesn't look nice. If you remember the UI kit, you probably remember that this image automatically gets adjusted to the boundaries. So that's why I use this x and y method, because I can just set the y parameter to 0. Now you can't drag it up and down, and to prevent that, we will need a little bit more than this. And in the on-ended method, well, let me first show you something. Okay, let's run the app again. Okay, if I double tap, now let's suppose that the initial width of this image was 200. Let's just, I'm trying to explain something here. Let's just imagine that this width was 200. Now when I double tap on it, it becomes 400, because the scale is 400, or whatever the scale you are giving it. Okay, if you're dragging it, if you're magnifying it, or if you're giving it a double tap. Okay, so now it becomes 400, but this remains 200. So the other 200 is on the left and right side. So if we think that it gives this image a uniform scale. That means that the 100 will go this side and the other 100 will go this side. That's the only thing that makes sense here. Okay, so out of 400 width, new width, 200 is here, 100 is on this side, and the other 100 is on this side. Okay, if you don't understand this, please comment in the comment section, and I will create another video using some paint like software, because I can't draw anything here right now. So if you are not able to understand this, or this tap gesture anchor point, if you are not understanding these, please comment below and I will try to explain it again in another video. But let's just finish this as soon as we can now, because we know that there's 100 on the left side and there's 100 on the right side. uh, how do we get that? Well, we have geometry reader, and there are two things here that we need. One is we need to calculate the offset width that is on the left or on the right side. It will be the same. Okay, so it will be what? Reader dot frame global dot max x multiplied by self dot scale minus the original width and whole thing divided by 2. Okay, you get this? The another thing that we need is the kind of the amount of width that we are dragging to the right, and that we can get new dragged width equal to self dot dragged size, okay, dot width. But because the image is scaled, okay, the image is scaled, so you are dragging this amount here. You're not just dragging this width in terms of, in relation to this image, you're dragging the scaled image, so you will also need to multiply it by its scale. Okay, so yeah, one more thing. For tab gesture, I am just giving it a constant or static value of 2, but for the sake of just for the sake of this video, but in a real world application you will need to synchronize this scale and this scale. Okay, so both of these scale effects you will need to synchronize both of them, and you can do it according to your needs. You can define the maximum scale that you can that you want the image to be scaled to. It could be 3 or 4 or 2, whatever, but just for the sake of this video I'm not going to do this, because I want to keep this video as short as possible. So let's see. Now we will need to have two checks here. First one would be if the new dragged width is greater than this offset width, okay, then do something, and if it is less than minus of offset width, then do something, and else something else. So what really is happening here is, for this offset width we are using the plus value, but if we will go this side, then it will be negative of that. If you will print out these values, okay, you will find out that this side, the right side value is minus and the left side value is positive. Okay, so if it is positive, then set the dragged size is equal to what? It should be equal to CG size. Same thing again. Okay, we will need all of this here. here in here, and we can just remove this line here. Okay, okay, fine. But if it is greater than offset width, we just want it to return it to the previous maximum value, which uh, should be what exactly? Should be offset width divided by self dot scale. Okay, and if it is less than, then it should be same, but it's negative value. Otherwise, just do the default behavior. Let's run this app and it should be working fine. I hope so. Let's zoom the image. Okay, let's go this side. Working fine. Okay, that seems fine, right? It's working fine, and if you go a little further, then it will return to the boundary. Okay, that's it. Well, I don't want to make this video any longer than this. If you have any issues, please comment below. I will try to create another video for this. And just for the last time, remember that this unit point that we are using is because okay, let me just shorten this video. Okay, short this image. Okay, so what really is happening here is when you this whole width is 200. Let's just run the app again. Okay, this whole width is 200, let's imagine. Okay, so when we use the anchor point, we use the anchor point, and the anchor point takes the value of a unit point. You can see here it takes the value of unit point. So unit point means the value is between 0 and 1. So this value here is 0 0, this value here is 1 comma 0, this value here is 1 comma 1, and this value here is 0 comma 1. But this point that we are tapping on here is not between 0 and 1. It will be something like 200 comma 300, and but we know the width. So in relation to width, if we want the unit point of this, because if 1 is equal to this width 400, then if this point is 200, then it will be equal to 1 comma 400, sorry, 1 by 400 into 200. It's like saying that same orange example, that if 10 oranges cost you $10, so 2 oranges will cost you 1 by 10 into 2, sorry, 10 by 10 into 2, so that will be $2. So that's how we are getting this point. Self dot point tap dot x by reader dot frame dot its width basically, and then its height, so you can get the point that you tapped on. And in here what we need is we need to keep the record of the drag width along with its scale, so we are multiplying it by scale in here and in here. So whatever will be the dragged width, we will set that as its offset. So you can make this project even better. I will be uploading this on GitHub, and you can download it from there, and you can then make it better and then upload it again, and I will check the changes and I will show whether those changes are good or not. Until then, take care, goodbye. Please click like and subscribe to my channel if you found this video useful, and also please share this video, and please comment below if you didn't understand any of this, so I'll try to make another video of this. Last time this was frustrating to create because MacBook wasn't performing well, so please bear with me. Thank you, goodbye again.